recently announced a bought deal of 16 million. It was announced originally as 8 million, and then overnight it was almost 3 times oversubscribed, and we ended up settling on 16 million, which is quite exciting for the company, given that we are now fully funded to plan our next exploration drill program. We'll have a large amount of the holes that are going to focus on the FAD main zone. So that 3.5 million tons that we've originally spoken about in past meetings, being able to try to expand that, and we think that we have a path to double the size of that with drilling. And then we'll focus some of the holes over on the Jackson Fault, which is associated with the most recent discovery you've probably heard of with I-80 Gold next door. They've just announced a big CRD discovery that they call a Bonanza CRD, and so that fault structure runs right through their property and ours, and we're going to allocate some holes to that untested and never drilled before by us area, and hopefully have some fun drill success. Recently, I-80 announced a scoping study where they plan to convert their current mill leach operations into a base metal operation. That's huge for us because they're going to switch from a mill leach operation to be able to produce base metals, which will produce a lead, zinc, silver con. We're polymetallics, and so if there is a future or a scenario where we're looking at a processing scenario, I think it's very beneficial for us that right next door we're going to have a processing facility. And I-80 has spoken very much lately about how their base metal, their polymetallics, are bigger than their gold. So I think it's going to be a very exciting district play between both companies and probably the whole belt in the next few months here. So along with the exploration program that we will have at the FAD main zone and allocating some of those holes to the Jackson Faults, we're running a program concurrent to that, which is, I think, going to generate a lot of news flow. So you have your exploration program that we're starting the drills back up and drilling this exploration, but then there's also the historic drilling that we're looking at now. And so if you remember, this was last drilled in the 40s and 50s and some holes in the 60s, and we have all of that drill core now. We have, just before Christmas, received another few boxes of data that we're right now in the process of digitizing, and I think that we're going to find some interesting things when we open those boxes, because this is core that's been sitting there for several decades that hasn't been logged by us or hasn't been looked at for many years. And so I think that we could potentially look at this as new eyes on this core. And it's interesting because, you know, for us, until recently, we didn't know if we could use any of it towards the 43-101 resource estimate. But now that we have all of the finalized, all the data, the assay certs, the coordinates, we think that now we're going to be, with a high probability, be able to use all of that historic core towards an NI 43-101 resource estimate, which is huge for us because it's not only significantly reduced the capital to get there, it's cut down the timeline to get to that resource stage should we want to pull a trigger on that. Typically on announcement of a financing, you typically see a share price fall after that for at least a few days. I think that the market is realizing that we're no longer the same company that we were 2 weeks ago. And that's because now we're fully financed and we have the money that we need to be able to drill this, and next financing opportunity could be very far down the road here. So I think that potentially, given that we had to cut back a lot of the participation in the financing, that maybe some people are looking at this as an opportunity to buy in the open market because they realize that we're about to drill this and fully financed, and they maybe want to get ahead of some of the exploration success that we're about to have.